Yeah. All right. Hey.
Hi everyone, this is Janet Nation. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to do something different. And I'm going to call these types of videos that I do, I'm going to put them under the label of Real Talk with Janet. And it's really going to be about subject matters outside of real estate that is important to me, that I want to maybe, express my opinions about. And today I want to talk about George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. And I have a guest, a special guest, to help me with that conversation, Tyrone Brown. He's a real estate attorney for buyers, sellers, and lenders. And Tyrone's also a good friend. And what we both have in common is that we're both English.
Yep.
And so I want Tyrone to help me have a discussion, a very, very important discussion about what is happening today. It's impacting the entire country and the world, really, at this point. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the most recent incident with the murder, another way to describe it, the murder of George Floyd. And, obviously, if you had your head in the sand for all the other murders and all the other injustice, well, I know this time your head is out of the sand. You cannot help avoid it. And the reason why, it's Black Lives Matter, it's not that this conversation is not going to be about black and white. It's about justice and injustice. And we say Black Lives Matter because we are dying at a disproportionate rate at the hands of the police. Right. So, Tyrone, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Right. So both of us have been very vocal in various platforms about this recent episode with George. How do you feel as a Black man every time there is one of these videos, obvious victim, undisputable? And how do you feel as and they get away with it every time, practically, as far as I can remember. How do you feel as a Black man about, here we go again?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that I'm talking to you about this. And when I'm talking to you, I can actually look and appear calm. But behind closed doors, when I see these news stories, I am angered. Like, if you see me, I'm kind of glad I'm by myself, because I'm in my own fit of rage when I see these things. Because when you saw George Floyd, I'm glad that was the icing on the cake for now. But the outrage that we're seeing now in the protest, as far as I'm concerned, should have happened years ago. You've seen this stuff. We've seen this time over and over again. And what bothers me is, if this is the stuff that they catch on camera, and that police officer that was so willingly just putting his knee in George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and if he was doing that on camera, knowing he's on camera, can you imagine the amount of incidents that's not on camera for a lot of men that look just like me that will not get justice because it's not on camera?
Oh, and let me say clearly, this is not his first time doing that, because his colleagues were in total disregard for his behavior. So this is something that he's obviously done before.
Yeah.
Obviously done before. It was just natural. It's obviously something that he has done before, except that this time he killed a man.
He killed a man, yeah. But he's killed a man before too. I think in 2000.
Oh yes. I have it somewhere here.
I think in 2008.
He has. Let's talk about what he's done. He has in 2011. It was a shooting of an Alaskan Native American, Leroy Martinez. In 2008, he shot Latrell Toyles, a 21-year-old unarmed black man,
Yeah.
barely a man, just a boy. And he was also one of the officers that was involved with the murder of Wayne Reyes,
Okay.
a Latino man that was hit with 42 rounds. I mean, basically, okay, he was also the causing death. I'm not done with this man, okay?
Yeah.
He was the causing death of a car chase in 2005 that killed 3 people. And last but not least, I mean, there's 20 police brutality complaints against him. I can't even pronounce his name. Chauvin.
Chauvin, I think it's Derek Chauvin.
It doesn't even deserve a name. Animals better.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, against this man. So this is a police officer that was totally out of control.
Yeah.
Totally out of control, and got away with it every single time because he was on the streets.
Yeah.
You know, I guess this time it's come to an end. But you know, this is they're talking about what George, you know, now they want to, you know, make George a victim and say what a terrible person he was. But hello, I don't think so. Not when you compare it to what I just read off.
Yes,
You know?
absolutely. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Tyrone.
It is all of that, yes. And I think the fact that it took this for him to be fired finally, and finally charged is disturbing, because if you think it's not just him too, because he's just more representation of what we've known all along. Not just him, but with the other officers out there. A lot of police officers are just like him. And then you get tired of when people talk about, oh, there's a lot of good cops out there. And I understand that. But the thing is, you know, if you're not out there speaking against the bad cops, then you pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, you're a bad cop too. I've had this discussion with family members as well. And I have a particular family member who always tell me there's good cops and bad cops out there. He owns a few properties. So I said, okay, all right, since you're going to put it that way, if you have 10 buildings and you got smoke detectors in each building, and you got sprinkler systems in each building, and let's assume you got 10 sprinkler systems in each building and one doesn't work and your whole house burns down because that one didn't work, you're going to come back and tell me, oh, those other 9 sprinkling systems and stuff worked, so it's no problem, you know? So we're not talking about the 9 that worked. It's the one that didn't work that caused the fire in your building.
Right.
If you have all those other buildings and you kept catching fires, are you going to keep going back to those 9 that were working, or are you going to deal with the ones that weren't working? That means then you might have to reevaluate your building and change your whole building and rewire your building and restructure your building if you got smoke detectors and sprinkler systems that don't work.
Right.
Even if you have most of them that work, the few that don't work can destroy your building.
Right.
It's the same thing here with the police department. If you ain't got much people in, you know, if you still got you know, you got more bad cops than good, and even if you got more good cops than bad, the bad ones are pretty much making you all look bad, and you should be concerned about that.
Right.
So, as far as I'm concerned, it's you know, I get tired of hearing that argument.
Yeah, I
And that's
get
what you
tired
hear
of it because obviously the bad cops are running the show, you know.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
clearly, so you know, we need to. It's definitely, to me, I think it's an organization that just totally needs to be revamped. We need to see. I personally think we need to see Black cops policing their own communities. You know, live in the community or live in a similar type community. You know, to kind of like enhance like better relations. I mean, for me personally, you know, as a mother of 3 sons, every time they leave the house, you know, I feel uncomfortable, especially, you know, when they want to go somewhere at night, which they often want to do. And, you know, sometimes I'll say, be careful, or if they, you know, so don't play your music too loud, or my youngest one, take that thing off your head, you know, because he likes his waves and stuff like that. I mean, things that's just natural, you know, to us. And those, you know, cops who don't understand the culture, don't want to understand the culture and see everything as a threat. And, you know, it's just really, every time I hear of this type of situation that just happened here, it brings a new level of alarm. You know, so I think it got to the point now with George Floyd that everyone's boiling point just hit at the same time.
Yes.
Hit at the same time, because now we got to the enough is enough kind of thing. You know, and I remember writing on my Facebook page, I said, you know, something's going to happen like a pandemic. You know, where we're just going to just explode. And we did, actually, quicker than I even thought. And we actually exploded, and, you know, everyone just started coming together. And, you know, there's so many different groups and organizations that is forming, because we've got to that point. We've got to that point now where that we're not taking it anymore sitting down. Yeah. You know, we're really not. And I really do commend the young people.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I'm proud of them.
I can never say this word properly. Millenniums. They're the ones who are coming together. They're the ones who, you know, the baby boomers and the Gen Xers, forget it. You know,
but it's not just the millennials, though. It's the Gen Z, the Generation Z, I think they're called, because the millennials.
Let me say that Z.
Gen Zs, I think the Generation Z, something, because my son, he said he's not a millennial, I guess, because I think there's a millennial age, and I forget what year it is.
I know, I get all confused, but all right, those in their 30s, those in their, 30s and below, late 20s and 30s, you know, that age group.
And even in the early 20s, even the people in their early 20s, they're really out there. I'm proud of them, very proud of them.
They're stepping up to the plate, you know, something that the older generation we kind of missed the boat somewhere, because our parents and our grandparents did whatever they needed to do in the 60s and 40s, and they did a remarkable job. And we somehow have not made much progress since that time. It seems like we did, but quite frankly, we haven't. We haven't. You know, so I'm really glad that our younger generation is stepping up to the plate, and I'm also loving the fact that white people, non-blacks, are joining in the fight. It's really very refreshing to see that. So a lot of these, you know, old ideas from older generations, you know, unfortunately they did, you know, contaminate their descendants. But I think, you know, the younger generation now are feeling different and less, and, you know, not, and like us, don't want to tolerate this kind of treatment anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
And it's funny because when you went back, you talked about how, you know, you have the good cop, bad cop syndrome. Pretty much you got the good cop versus bad cop situation. I don't even say that, though, because what bothers me is, did you see in Buffalo where that senior citizen, I think they said he was 75, they pushed him over. What bothered me is you had the cop that pushed him, right? And then you had what I would have called maybe the so-called good cop that looked like he was about to render aid. But then someone else, one of the other cops, pulled him up as if to say, leave him there, don't bother. And what did he do? He went along with the other cop. Instead of doing what his initial instinct told him to do, was to see if this guy was okay. He went along with what the other cop said was not the right thing to do. His initial instinct was to do good, but then afterwards, he went and did bad. There's too much of that going on.
So you're right. So once again, you know, the bad cop rules.
Yeah, bad cop rules.
So what's up with the good cops? You know, what's up? You all don't have a voice? I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, how is it that the bad cops are ruling? Usually it's the other way around. Good people rule over bad. But why is the bad cops ruling over good in this situation over and over and over again? I don't get it.
It's true. And did you see the other situation where, because I know you said we might need more black cops policing than the community as well. I kind of agree with that partially, because I'm sure, you know, I'm sure a lot of times you can't tell me that we're in the Bronx and you got mostly white cops in these areas in the Bronx. I could speak for, there's the 47th precinct. I used to live near that area in the Bronx. And that area is where I think from what I remember, I saw a lot more white cops in that area than black cops.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Amali Graham, I think that was his name, Amali Graham,
Mm-hmm.
he was murdered a few years ago when the police kicked down his door, shot him in the bathroom with his grandmother in the house. And they were, and because of procedural reasons, of course, he never got charged. The case got dismissed. The typical scenario we see all the time. Now,
Right.
let's say even if more black cops were in that neighborhood, it doesn't mean they're going to do the right thing either, because some of them end up joining the system too.
Right.
And they're just as bad as the white cops, if not worse.
Right.
I saw a situation a few days ago where this I think she was a grandmother. She was a heavyset black woman, and she was hitting this other cop, like this white cop. Now I'm not saying she was right or wrong, but the other black cop came in and sucker punched her from behind and knocked her out cold.
Wow.
Now, all said and done, I'm not saying she was right at all, but him being a cop, trust me, he was in a position where he could have at least tried to restrain her.
Right.
And I know, me knowing what we know, if it was a white woman doing the exact same thing, there's no way he would have sucker punched her. He would have tried to restrain her.
Right.
So at the end of the day, they are treated differently. So even the black cops are just as bad, if not worse, than some of the white cops. So as far as I'm concerned, once you put that uniform on, sometimes you each got to hold each other accountable. And sometimes you can say some things are race related, black or white, but some of these black cops are just as bad as the white cops. Right. So I put them all in the same light, where they, like, as far as I'm concerned, if I see a black cop, sometimes I don't automatically think they're on my side. I truly don't. Because you see this stuff, and it doesn't mean that just because you like to think they are because they got the same skin complexion as you. But at the same time, I don't think that anymore. Yeah. Because I can count the amount of times I've had interactions with police, black cops, and they've incited it sometimes. Sometimes I've been the calm person, and they don't de-escalate the situation. They more escalate the situation. Instead of talking to me calmly, they're the ones that's provoking me. And it was the black cop that did it to me. This was had to be the mid 90s. I was in my early 20s then. Right. I gave away my age. I'm an old fart now. Just in general, though, it was like they're the ones that escalated it. So all said and done, I don't actually assume they're on my side anymore. I look at them all the same, unless they prove to me differently at the time, black or white. I look at them all the same. So,
I got you. So let me ask you. So you have, 2 young sons.
Yes. And,
you're obviously a black male yourself. What have you had conversations with them about this whole thing that we're going through, or even prior? Do you have conversations with them about racism?
All the time. Never stops. It's to a point where they're like, oh, okay, here goes dad again. There he goes again. And it's to that point. But here's the truth, though. It's every time an incident like this happens, I always have to have that conversation with them. Yeah. Whether it's
what are they saying? How old are they?
Well, one's 15, the other one's 13.
So they're certainly old enough to be very aware. What are they saying or are they just listening? What are they saying?
Well, they're more just listening. They'll speak sometimes, they'll speak, but most of the time they just listen because they're young. Yeah. So they just more listen. You have to listen. I'm the parent, of course. But at the same time, sometimes some situations happen in their own life, and I have to tell them, you can't behave the same way a white person does. Why? Yeah. Because you ain't white. So even whether it's George Floyd, whether it's Sandra Bland, whether it's Terrence Crutcher, whether it's Tamir Rice, because we can even use Tamir Rice, how he went out there with a toy gun and gets killed holding a toy gun. They can't do that because even the other day.
Not to interrupt you, talking about toy guns, one thing I definitely did not do with my boys when they were growing up, they never ever owned a single toy gun, not even a water gun. Not even a water gun. I didn't want any accidental, deliberate, misunderstanding what they had on them. So I never, ever, ever allowed my children to play with any kind of gun. Never. Yeah.
But it's sad though, because I grew up in England. Yeah, it's sad because I grew up in England, and we had no problem playing with toy guns. We used to have. You remember in England where they had the toy guns? We used to play cowboys and Indians. And you paper, you shoot it, and it's like it's the cat guns. And you had the paper that would go around, and it would make the sound of a real gun. We used to play all the time around the neighborhood growing up. But that was okay then, because police over there didn't really have guns.
They didn't have guns,
At the
right.
end of the day, if you're confrontation with them, with police, I don't know, of course, I left England years ago, but at that time as a kid, we had no problem playing with the toy guns then, because it was a different area. Over here now, I had my son, the other day, he wanted to go to the basketball court. Now, in Yonkers, because we live in Yonkers, there's a school where they have a basketball court, and it's fenced around where you have to open the gate to get in. They locked that gate so that because of the whole pandemic, coronavirus, they locked the gate. But what kids were doing is, which police, the police, the school, because it's actually a school. The school probably didn't know, and I don't think the police knew when they locked the gate, that behind that there's a certain fence that they crawl underneath so they can still play basketball. So kids will sneak in, like you'll see brothers. Like I saw two brothers there playing while we was in an open field, because there's an open field where you could see the basketball court. But we're like, how did they get in? You know? They said, and my son said, watch them as they were leaving. They crawl underneath the fence because they push it out and they can crawl over. Now I don't think if they knew, I think if the police knew that, they would lock that whole thing and redid it, but no one knows. So now a few days later, my son says, can I go to the park and play basketball? I said, no. He said, yeah, but so-and-so down the block went and played basketball. They were okay. I said, you forget, they're brothers, but they're white. If police come and sees them playing basketball,
different standards.
Different standards for them.
It's a different standard.
Yeah, so they're white. And I hate to say that, because he wanted to go play basketball. Would have just been him or him and his brother in that little area, because it was a small little basketball court area.
It's always a different standard. We can never, and this is what people, white people don't understand. There is a different standard. There is a white privilege. I know they hate that, but it is a privilege. It is a privilege for you to be able to walk down the street, jog down the street, drive your car, be stopped by the police, and not worried that you're going to be killed, right? It is a privilege. When it comes to employment, if the name is cultural, your whites will definitely have a priority, and it's proven. It's not just something I'm just saying. There's privilege, way back. Wealth. I mean, that way back with redlining and where we are today, multi-generational wealth, we don't have it because we did not have, the opportunity to get loans, to purchase homes, to develop wealth, just like, our peers today, for ourselves and for our children. So, it is a privilege. And it's a different standard. We're at the point now where it's time for change. It's been 400 years. It's time for a change. It's time to do different. And that's why we talk about Black Lives Matter. It's a privilege, and a total injustice to us. And so, we're at the point now where things just really do have to change and change significantly.
And it's funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You should say that, because a lot, like you said, the privilege thing, a lot of people don't understand that sometimes these government put policies in place that favored them in the 40s and 50s, which is why they were able to have home ownership that we couldn't have. I just started reading this book, Color of Law.
Yeah,
I just started reading it. And when you went back to sometimes the way the system works against us, if you ever read Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, did you ever read that?
No.
If you get a chance, I encourage anybody to read that book.
The New Jim Crow.
Yeah, The New Jim Crow. She wrote it years ago, probably like 2010, 11, I forget exactly, but it's a good book. To this day, it still stands the test of time. And it's sad, books like that should not stand the test of time. You should be looking at it and saying, wow, that's what it was like back then. But you can read that book now and you'll think she wrote it yesterday. That's sad, Right. But what it is, she even mentioned in there that, and she pretty much pulls statistics out. So she's not just talking just for the sake of talking. She said most of the time, for white men with criminal records can get jobs quicker than the Black man that doesn't have a criminal record. Yeah. That's the facts. And the numbers speak those numbers. So there's a lot of factors that come into play as to where we are sometimes. Yeah.
Just like back in the days, a poor white working class family is more likely to get a job than a middle-class black. So anyway, so I don't know about you, but I have one of the things that really concern me is silence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people, white, even black,
Mm-hmm.
not really speaking up when we have these kind of situations. And you know, I have had a couple of white people, not many,
Yeah.
have asked me, well, you know, I don't know, I'm sorry, you know, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So what do you say to people like that when they say, I don't know what to say?
Well, sometimes I can understand it, because if they're not in our shoes, they don't know what to say because they're not in our shoes. So sometimes it's all you can sometimes say is sorry, which sometimes ain't enough. So
Mhm.
maybe that's why they don't have anything to say. So that I could kind of understand to some degree. But my thing is this: if you're what bothers me sometimes is when they don't have nothing to say to you when you're going through the abuse and you're going through police brutality. And if those same ones, I'd rather they stay quiet when we're protesting or when you see looting and everything like that. If you're the same one that has nothing to say when we're going through everything that we've been going through for years, I don't want to hear you speak up when you see the protesters and the looters and the
I mean,
rioting.
that's a really
Don't
good
say
point.
nothing. Don't say nothing then either. Then I'll respect the fact that you kept quiet over all situations, but you
Right.
don't speak up and have a lot to say when people are rioting or looting, but you have nothing to say when we're killed and beaten up, you know? So
Exactly.
that's
Exactly. You know, that's really that's a very good point, because it's exactly those people that have a lot to say, you
yeah.
know, they forget about the problem at hand, right? They forget about the cause,
Yep.
you know, but they've got a lot to say
Yeah.
about, you know, the reaction
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
the
Forgetting about
cause,
the
you
action.
know,
Yeah, they
there's
don't.
a lot to say. And what I really say to them is, or say to that, because not many have approached me,
Mm.
and but what I say to that is, speak up. Don't
Yeah.
just tell me privately you're sorry. Speak up. Let everybody hear that you're sorry. You know,
Yeah.
and you disapprove. Let
Yeah.
let your friends know, let your colleagues know, let your family know. Speak up. Don't tell me secretly. I don't want to hear it secretly, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I don't
Sure.
want to hear it secretly. Let everybody know so that it can be, it can spread to the next one and the next one and the next one, disapproval. If everybody keeps quiet, then the offense continues, right? Because
Yeah.
nobody's speaking up.
Yeah.
So,
It's true.
so what I say is, you know, speak up. Speak up. Tell me publicly. I'm out there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. You
Yeah.
know, don't call me up and tell me, you know, secretly, or text me or messenger me. That's not helping. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not helping the cause at all. You
Yeah.
know.
Sure.
You
But
know.
sometimes, but sometimes, even if they speak up, let's say, because for me, I'll speak up on Facebook and other, other social media platforms. But what sometimes I have to think about what people are doing outside of that. So my thing is this: whether you speak up or not, are you doing anything different in your life? Because
Yeah.
you could speak up and not do nothing, and not do
Yeah.
anything, right? Not do anything. I
Right.
prefer you not speak and I prefer you not speak, but do something than speak and do nothing. You
Yeah.
know. So for me, if you're gonna speak, I'd like to at least think that you're also doing something. But
Yeah.
if you're not gonna speak, then because you can use Prince as an example. Prince never spoke about all the stuff he did, or he may not have been outspoken, but behind the scenes, Prince was very pro-black. He was very active.
Hmm.
Or said
So I learned afterwards. Yeah.
because he was
Yeah.
a Jehovah's Witness, he didn't want to promote himself out there like that. So,
Hmm.
so with that said, if you're not going to speak, but you're doing something behind the scenes, I respect that. But the thing is, we may never know what people are doing or not doing.
Yeah.
So,
I'd rather, if you know, if you speak and, you know, I'm not liking what you hear, at least I know who you are.
and yeah, that
You
too. I'm
know,
okay with that too.
I know who you are.
Hmm.
I know which hat you're wearing, you
Yeah,
know, but when you don't speak up,
yeah,
I'm suspicious, because I don't know which way you're going.
yeah,
You know, then it becomes like a lack of trust. I don't
yeah,
know if I really trust you. You don't have a position, or you don't have a, you know, you know, speaking up against something that is wrong shouldn't generate fear.
Yeah, but you know what it does too, though. But some people speak up against, don't want to speak up against what's wrong because they're thinking about the future. Because for me, for instance, I speak up vocally on my platform, but if I ever go out looking for another job or anything like that, and they start searching my Facebook posts and anything like that, they're gonna be like, "Oh Lord, this guy's rebellious. Oh Lord, this guy's something else," and I may never get that job because of my posts. But this is who I am. Either take me as I am or leave me as I am. I don't care either way. But at the end of the day, but a lot of people will, and I can understand it, a lot of people might be worried about jobs and things or future employment opportunities, so they may not speak. And then you have some people.
I think it's how you say it. You know what I'm saying?
So,
I mean, me personally, I couldn't give it a squat.
yeah.
You know, I'm a woman of a certain age now. I've gone through enough garbage already. I can't even keep up with. I can't even keep up with all the injustice that has been done to our people.
Yeah.
I can't speak eloquently like some people, but as a mother, as a woman, I feel it right here.
Yeah.
You know? And so I'm going to speak up, you know, and just like the same way, people have no problem speaking up if an animal is shot or abused. They don't know what to say, but they know what to say about an animal.
Yeah.
The outrage, the outrage over an animal, and I'm outraged too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm outraged too. So why can't you have the same outrage and concern and speak up for a human being? Because the only thing that is really different is the color of our skin.
But you know what though? When you say that, it's like, my thing is this, and well, I can't read their minds, but the way I read into it is this. They'll probably speak up for the animal because they believe that the animal probably can't control or speak up for themselves. But they'll probably won't speak up for us because they probably feel like we can either speak up for ourselves or we're causing their destruction on ourselves. So that's what's implied for them. Not if those same people are speaking up against, you know, against killing of animals, but they're not speaking up against killing of us. It's almost like I can also assume that that's their thinking.
You know, that could really be part of it. You know, I don't know if it's all of it, but that could definitely be part of it. So I mean, where do we go from here? I mean, it's you know, we do know that overnight, lots of organizations have said I mean, they're just like Martin versus Malcolm. You know, there's different ways. You know, that people have different ideas, and you know, I mean, it's such a huge problem. I don't even know. You know, I'm depending on our young ones. I'll support them the best that I can. I'm depending on them to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can do well is real estate and get people into homes and prepare them and show them why, educate them why. I could do that, you know, but you know, I when it comes to this racism and, you know, and the cops killing our people every single day, it seems like. And we're not even talking about the things that are unheard, the stories that we haven't heard about, stories that were not, you know, videotaped. There's got to be hundreds of those that we just don't know about.
Yeah.
You know, we just don't know about. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what to do about that. You know,
I saw Cuomo today on TV today, and he was he pretty much had, I guess I forgot what the law was called, but pretty much he's proposing some new laws in New York which I've been passionate about this for a little while, where you have the DAs. You can't trust the DAs to prosecute the police because they work hand in hand to, you know, to do a crime. You can't trust that. He's proposing something where anytime a police shooting is involved, it will be an independent prosecutor, and that will be the new law. So it won't be the regular DA anymore. That's key. That's very crucial. Then they're supposed to have something where it releases the disciplinary records of any police officer. Then they're going to ban chokeholds, which is a start. I think they need to do.
They're going to ban what?
Ban the chokeholds. Put a permanent ban on chokeholds, which I think.
I don't know what I was even allowed the first time around.
Exactly. But
I mean, that leads to death easily.
Exactly. And I mean, there's other things, but those are the few things that he had mentioned in the new law. So, but with that, the
And don't
independent
shoot to kill. Use your common sense. If somebody's running, for example, if somebody's running, don't shoot them in their back or their stomach. Shoot them maybe on, if you're gonna have to shoot them on their leg.
But that's the
You know?
thing.
I mean, why do you have to? I mean, again, don't shoot.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna shoot, don't shoot to kill.
Yeah.
Why do they always shoot to kill?
Well, you know what? I don't think it's a common sense thing. For some people, it may be. But be honest with you, I think it's how they see us. Because you cannot tell me that these police officers will do the same thing. Because we've seen video clips of white people doing a lot more and not suffering anything, and pretty much, you know, not getting half the punishment that we get. Like we've gotten shot or getting guns pointed at us for running a stop sign, getting guns pointed at us for having the tail light out. That's how Philando Castile got killed.
Yeah.
You pulled him over because of a stoplight, you know? Then you had other people getting killed, you know, you get other people getting killed for something very minor. It would have been a violation or a ticket otherwise, you know? But but then you have, what's the guy, Dylan Roof, killed 9 people in a church down south in South Carolina. Not only was he taken away in handcuffs with a bulletproof vest, they took him to Burger King to feed the kid before they took him to jail.
Oh.
So all said and done, it's not, I don't think it's a common sense thing. I think these people consciously know what they're doing. A lot of them is racist. It is what it is, you know? And it was a guy, in South Carolina that he ran out the car. It's gonna bother me, but he was in South Carolina. He ran out the car. The car stopped, the police stopped him, but he ran out the car, and then they shot him a few times in the back. And it's gonna bother me now. But what bothered me about that one, which is what goes back to what I tell you, sometimes you have these black cops as well, and they're just as bad as the other ones, because when that report was filed against the guy, it's gonna bother me now. But when they filed their force report, it was a black cop that helped file that report. He didn't report any wrongdoing by his partner who shot that guy in the back. Oh, it's gonna bother me now. I wish I remember the name, but it happened in South Carolina, and the name happened, you know.
How long ago was that?
It was about, give or take, about 2 years ago, maybe 3.
I mean, it's to the point. It's to the point where I can't even keep up with all the stories anymore.
Yeah.
It's excessive. You know, we all remember Rodney King, because that was the first one, and everybody remembers Rodney King, and that was what, 1991 or something like that. And there's been a zillion since then. You know, so that means we've made absolutely no improvement.
No improvement. Thank you. Yeah.
We haven't made any improvement.
The improvement. So, and that's what I'm saying. So all this stuff, and the reason they even got this guy and actually charged him was because of videotape. Someone was hidden and took the tape, and the video came out maybe a couple of days after the killing. But they pretty much, everybody tends to automatically assume that the police are right, and nothing happens. No one assumes otherwise. So as long as the police says something, then everybody's going to take the police's word over the citizens. At this point, that has to change. You can't just automatically.
Well, I think at this point now, at least in the Black community, we never take their word.
Yeah, but the sad thing is, the people in power do. So the people who they would have.
But they know better. They choose.
Yeah, they know better.
They choose to take their word.
Yes,
they know better. They know better,
but they don't do better, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So you know to do better, and I think now hopefully rules change where they're gonna be forced to do better because they know better but haven't been doing better.
Yeah.
So hopefully things change now after this, where you don't just take the police's report and assume that whatever they put in that report is solid truth. Because we already know it's that they lie about this, and the only way these people get caught out is videotape, which is why sometimes they turn off their body cam footage so that you don't see what they're really doing. So it's a sad state all around. So I mean, I'm not sure what this new law is going to look like with Governor Cuomo, but at the same time, I hope there's going to be a lot of tweaking, because I'm sure if we don't get it right now, we're going to get right back in the same boat we've been in, and it's going to be 30 years again. It's going to be there's going to be many more George Floyd cases, and nothing's going to get done. Yeah,
I'm just hoping that this is the beginning of the police are not suddenly going to do what they.
Of course not. Nah.
The right thing. I mean, God knows.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm hoping that this is the beginning of them thinking a little bit harder about their actions.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I'll tell you why.
Really? You don't think so?
I'll tell you why. Right now, all the videotape is on them during these riots and protests, and they're still doing the wrong thing. They're being filmed, and they're still beating up citizens, beating up peaceful protesters. So I mean, you would at the very least think, even if they are racist, even if they harbor these racist views and are okay with killing black people, you would think at the very least they will restrain that kind of behavior and hold their calm, because this is a different time right now, and there's a protest, and the whole world is watching. But even with the fact that the whole world is watching, even with the fact that a lot of people are videotaping, they're still beating. They're still over enforcing. They're still overreacting. They're still being the aggressors. They're not de-escalating anything. Most of them are not de-escalating. So we're seeing it now, and it's playing out for the world to see. So if they're being like that now, what makes you think they're going to change? They're not trying to change. Right now, they're in defense mode really much. They're trying to keep hold of a system that's been in place for years and don't want to change it. So right now, they're fighting the system right now, which is why they keep doing it. You would think at the very least they would calm down right now and at least realize the world is watching, at least try and put on a forced front and pretend that, oh, we're not all like that. But now you see so much of them out there. Everybody's now realizing they're all like that, even when they're not. The bad ones are outshining the good. So all said and done, I don't know if they're going to change their behavior. The laws have to change that, because you can't, someone said on the TV the other day, you can't legislate someone's heart. But you can, you know, and sadly that's the case, but you can legislate their behavior. And I think it's going to have to take strong legislation to legislate their behavior, because they're going to be racist, but you want to at least hold them accountable, like at least be able to hold them more accountable for their actions, put more things on the line for them. Because if they're going to be there and they know they got their job and they're protected by their unions and they're protected by these, by these senators and by, you know, by everybody in charge, and protected by the judges, protected by the DA for sure, which is why they need independent DAs and independent prosecutors. So that takes the DA out the picture. So you can actually, someone that actually has a trial, someone tries to at least more like get a better, what do you call it? I'm sorry, I'm tongue twisted. They get a better chance of justice if, you know, if you're an independent prosecutor.
Yeah.
I think that's what's needed. That's why in Minnesota right now, the attorney general out there, the state attorney, was it Keith Ellison, he took over the case from Mike Freeman, who was the DA in the area, because no one had faith in him to do the right thing. Because remember, when he first came out, he initially said that there was evidence suggesting that they shouldn't be charged. Forget his exact words, but there was evidence suggesting they shouldn't be charged, which is why the riot started in the first place. And then 24 hours later, he said, oh, we can charge, and he only charges one of the officers. But yet, he never said anything that was different. What changed in that 24 hours other than the protest? Did something come to light differently? He couldn't even vocalize that. That's why it got taken out of his hands, because no one had faith in him to prosecute the case fairly. And but that's the case. That's how it should be across the board anytime police killing is involved. It needs to be people that are outside of the DA's office, because they can't be trusted. I mean, because they work with these same police officers.
Yeah.
So that's how it has to be across the board.
Yeah. But it just seems like, you know, that the journey is far from being over.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and the discussion is far from being over.
Yeah.
It's not going to die down. It might die down for some people, but it's not going to die down for us, because we live it every day.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Even if the protest dies down, I don't want us to die down with it.
No, we absolutely don't and shouldn't, and I don't think we will. We've got the world watching. I mean, that's just, to me, just really, like, really amazing that people who are not directly, countries that are not, you know, not directly involved here are feeling the pain. I mean, that's really amazing to me. So I think that's going to help.
Yeah.
But we still have a long journey, and, you know, there's things that we can do as a community to help ourselves. That's another whole, you know, is power in our dollars, you know, another conversation. But
I will say this though, you're right. But what I'm pleasantly surprised about is, yes, the world is watching, and yes, they're kneeling with us. Of course, I saw pictures of Germany, Spain, even Iran. You know, the world is watching. But what I'm pleasantly surprised about is a lot of the white folk that are taking the beatings out here right now. I didn't think I'd see that.
I really appreciate it, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking a stand.
Yeah.
You know, not enough for doing it, but
Yeah.
those that are, I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
I'll be honest
So
with you.
this is just really, that's why I feel a little bit more hopeful than you right now, because they are participating. I mean, it is our fight.
Yeah,
but,
it's our fight,
but they're helping us, and the world is helping us. And
yeah, because
what
I've seen, like when they've had peaceful protests, I went to a protest in I think it was December 2014 when they had the big protest in New York City. I think it was after the Eric Garner situation. I was part of the protest. Now there was a lot of white people there peacefully protesting, but at the same time, I never had an issue with them coming, because I didn't think they would have any issue coming to a peaceful protest. I just didn't think they'd be there for when it got violent. And now they proved me wrong. And I'm pleasantly surprised by the fact that they're out there and they taking just a lot of the heat that we are taking. Now, I don't think they'll take it ever like we will, because at the end of the day, a lot of police officers do realize these are their own. So but a lot of them are out there taking the beatings as well. They're getting beat with sticks as well. They're getting tear gas thrown on them, rubber bullets, shot at them as well. So I respect the fact that they're still out there protesting on this. And I'll say that. But with that said, once the protest dies down, what are we doing? Are we going to be still on our senators? Are we going to vote? Not to say voting does anything, because even most of these places, even right now in New York City, the mayor's Democrat. That ain't doing nothing for us. The police are still brutal. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it's more than voting. I couldn't care less about any of them, Democrat or Republican. What are you doing for Black people? And if you're still out there letting these police officers still brutal us, I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. I'm not supporting you. I support Black people. If it happens to be a Republican doing the right thing, I'll support him too.
You know what? I'm with you on that.
But what it is though, what I was I gonna say? Oh shoot! But what I would say is, after the protests are done, what are you doing other than that? Outside, for me, typically, I usually support Sean King. You might have heard. I'm sure you've heard of him. Sean King. He has these organizations where they support progressive DAs that are looking to be district attorneys in certain cities. So, but sometimes their campaigns need help. And so because of that, I support him sometimes. I support his organization where they actually help these campaigners. I think the last one I followed was, I think his name is Larry Krasner. He's a DA in Pennsylvania. I think he's in Philadelphia. And he ran, and he actually worked legal aid, and he never actually worked in the DA's office. The people that opposed him said, oh, he doesn't have the experience because he's never worked in the prosecutor's office, but it actually worked in his favor. Because of that, because no one wants to work with these prosecutors in the office, because they're always going to take the side of the police automatically, and they're never going to look for justice for people like me or you. So he won based on that, and it was basically it was funds from people like us that donated to that. So sometimes it starts by putting the people you want in office. Everything they say politics is local. It is. It's the DAs that you need to vote in the right DAs, so these DAs know what it's like to actually,
Well, I'm just learning all of this stuff myself. I've never been, that way politically inclined. But so I'm understanding now it's the smaller elections, voting that's more important than the big one.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going to just kind of really learning that. But, so this is a discussion that is going to go on for quite some time, and I really thank you, Tyrone, for helping me articulate the best I can how I feel about what's going on. And I just want to reiterate to everyone, this is not about for me right now, this discussion really is about police brutality, Black Lives Matter. We want it to stop. We're human beings. It's this justice versus injustice.
Yes.
We as Tara mentioned, some of our own people are exhibiting bad behavior also in the police department. So we just want it to change, and for non-Blacks, we want you to speak up.
Yeah.
If you don't speak, as everyone said, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
Now we don't trust you. We don't know who you are. We don't know your position. I'd rather know your position and not and not agree with it,
Yeah.
or it's against me, then you say nothing at all. I don't trust when you say nothing at all.
Yeah.
You know?
But again, with that, again, people, if again, I'd rather, if you're not going to speak, be consistent and
Or don't, there you
speak on
go.
everything.
And if you're not going to speak, don't speak at all. Don't just speak about the looting and the good cop versus bad cop. If you're not going to speak about the problem that resulted in the protests and the looting, by the way, I think a lot of that is provoked.
Yeah.
But and you know, the media and people, they look for that.
Yeah.
There's been lots of hundreds of really peaceful protests that nobody has is talking about. They just look at the ones that have been problematic, and again, most of the problematic ones, they were provoked.
Yeah.
And so if you're not going to talk about, if that's all you're going to talk about, don't talk.
Don't talk. Yeah, exactly.
You're not being helpful.
Yeah.
Because as a matter of fact, when if that's all they talk about, we really know how they're really thinking.
Exactly.
You just really kind of like disclose to us how you're really thinking. Yeah. You're not upset about a man being murdered, but you're upset about looting.
You're worried
protesters.
You're worried about the reaction. You're worried about the reaction opposed to the action.
You said it all.
Yeah.
You made yourself crystal clear to us what your position is.
Pretty much.
So thank you, Tyrone. Thank you very much.
No problem.
And for my listeners, thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe to my channel. Most of the times I will be talking about real estate every single Wednesday. This Wednesday, or this past Wednesday, I just didn't think it was really appropriate to I mean, emotions were so high, it was just not a good time to put out a video pertaining to real estate, but I think this is very applicable. This is just a man, ordinary man talking, an ordinary woman talking. We're black, obviously. Yeah. We have children, we're concerned, and we're just having an open discussion.
Yeah.
Right. Non-political, and just really talking from the heart. So thank you for joining. Please subscribe to my channel. I think it's down here. I'm supposed to point my finger. I can't remember. And thank you very much. And I'll see you next week. Please feel free to comment and share your experience, and tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.